What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming. I'm Isaiah. Today we're going to go through the steps to build ourselves a crew for Dread Knights. I know this is coming a little while after the Let Me Talk At You video. I normally try to keep that stuff pretty tight together. But I had a rough time finding the roster, and I'm actually dumb. Because when Will and Space Penguin sent me the book, they also gave me the PDF. And I just didn't read the whole email. So that's on me. Anyways, for this process, we need the book, we need the roster, and we need a pencil because we're not psychopaths. If you are a psychopath, then you feel free to go ahead and do this with a ballpoint. So these are our steps, and the first one is to select 5 models. Now, normally I have those 5 models close to hand. However, I don't today. Some of them are still being built and painted. Some of them I'm waiting to get here. Hopefully they'll be here within the next little while, and I may sub a model out and then swap out for the actual one that I want to use. Now, preface, if you missed the Let Me Talk At You video, I realize that this game is a Victorian Gothic horror type setting. However, through a misunderstanding on my own part, when I first heard about the game, I, for whatever reason, had it in my head that it was a modern game. So I'm going to keep all the Gothic horror elements. I'm not changing any of the stats. I'm not changing the way any of the weapons or armor or anything else works. But I am putting it into a modern horror setting. Modern Gothic, maybe, is the appropriate title. Now, I'm partially doing that because when I first read that and thought that, it made me think back to when I was younger playing World of Darkness games like Vampire the Masquerade and Hunter the Reckoning and all those awesome things. It also gave me an excuse to buy these models, which are some of the ones that are in the process of paint and all that stuff. But it gave me an excuse to buy Sam and Dean Grimchester. These are some of the kind of pop culture models that Blacklight Studio makes, and I've been eyeballing these and just waiting for an excuse to buy them for a long time. So there's 2 of our models right there. Now, also from Blacklight Studios, I recently purchased the County Road Z Survivor bundle. I don't know when those are coming, but there's a model in there that looks very, very much like Bobby Singer. He's got strong Bobby vibes. So I'm going to be using him in the meantime, though, I think, because I'm going to try to get those Grimchesters painted this weekend after I release this. I'm going to use my Callum. If you've watched any of my other videos, you may be familiar with him. I'm going to use him in place of Bobby for the meantime, and then the other 2 models I'm going to dig out and show you in just a second. Officially modify my previous statement because I don't have a couple of them to show you. I have one. I've got this that I'm going to use for my Ellen with her shotgun, or whatever it's going to be, whatever it stats up as in here. And then I've got another model with a trench coat that I'll be printing for Cass. That being said, disclaimer done. Let's get into the rest of these steps. So the next step is to roll our occupation. It's a roll a D100, or no, roll a D50. If you don't have a D50, roll a D100 and then split it in half. I'm going to be taking a percentile, and then if I land on an odd number, I'm going to round down. So we're going to roll. We get an 87. So 87 becomes 43. A lock keeper, +1 toughness. And I'm just going to go down the list. Sam, Dean, Bobby, Ellen, Cass. The rest of my occupations, I got a bone man, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. He came with a free relic, which is a scared. Be aware that the printing here is a little bit off. It says page 112. The relics are artifacts. Artifacts in this game are actually on page 110. So flip back from where it sent you. Bobby was a leave looker, which I looked that up. It's like an inspector. So I'm guessing like the Victorian version of like an HOA person. Just making sure everybody's got their property in line is what it sounded like. Ellen was a baker, and Cass was a brewer. We then come to specialists. You can, at creation, select 1 specialist for the cost of 5 shillings. They come with whatever equipment it says that they bring. If they can't sell or trade that equipment, but they can be given other equipment, like new stuff, if it's better. Once you've done that, then you proceed with all the other steps of feats, flaws, and stats as you normally would for any other character. So I'm going to go with Kaz being a Daywalker. I thought about making him a scholar of the mystic arts, and he would start with 2 random day manuscripts because that kind of made sense. But the Daywalker, the Daywalker comes with a silvered cane sword, and that just kind of fit. I like that. So we're gonna go with that one. So I'm down 5 shillings from what is probably going to be 100 shillings to equip myself, but I could be wrong because I haven't gotten to that section yet. Next, we come to crew name, and I'm definitely going to roll on this chart. So we have 2 D100 charts. We roll on both of them, and then put that together. So first roll is a 69. So look, real talk, I was not going to make a joke there about that dice roll. However, Will made a joke for me because the words for 69 are the sexy. Let's go. And I can't make this up. I got an 80. Yeah, an 80. And we rolled, and then 80 is private entity. So we are the sexy private entity. Next, we come to selecting your guild. There are 4 guilds, and to my knowledge, this is a fairly new feature in the Forbidden Psalm games. I haven't played Last War, so I don't know if it's there, but I know it's not in KS, Kill Sample Process, or Forbidden Psalm. But I like it. It's very cool. It's a little kind of extra thing that you get. So real quick, the street folk are exactly what they sound like. People that are familiar with the streets, familiar with the city, familiar with the world around them, and how to navigate that world. The faithless are predominantly clergy who have fallen to militant hunting of these monsters as their savior didn't save them. Next, we come to the merchants, whose philosophy is simple. Monsters are bad for business, so we got to deal with this so that we can continue to get this bag. And then we have the guild that I've chosen, which is the Fallen, which are those who hunt these creatures out of revenge because they've lost something or someone that was precious to them. And that fits. So their bonus is 10 shillings at the end of scenario as long as somebody dies. And whenever I recruit a new member, I can roll on the chart below, which I'm not going to go through all those options. We'll talk about that if it happens. But it gives you some extra kind of bonuses, things that you can pick and choose for them at creation of a new model if you have to add somebody. Also, something that as far as I know is new is you get a crew HQ. So for the Fallen, it has these things. These various things that you can do. It doesn't say that you have to purchase them in order, so you can just buy whichever ones you want. They cost 10 XP or 5 XP a piece. So you don't start with any of the bonuses, but as you play, and if you want to choose to spend some of your XP on improving your HQ instead of improving your crew, you have that option. Which I think this is super, super neat. I love it when there's little kind of things that are off the table that are represented in the rules somehow, because it helps fill that world out more in my head, and I like that. So then we come to stats, and like in the other games, you choose one of these stat lines for each of your models and then apply it to their 4 stats, which are agility, which helps determine your movement, presence, which is used for spellcasting, ranged attacks, and morale, strength, which is for your equipment, how much you can carry, as well as strength-based attacks, and toughness, which is used for health, tests, diseases, infections, and poison. So I'm going to assign these, and we'll move forward. Next, we come to our flaws and feats, where we're going to roll a d20 on each of these charts one time for each character. So I'm going to roll my first one. 13. So for Sam, I got Fear of the Dark, so he must always have a light source with him. And then I rolled a 1, so newbie, which is no feat, which is fitting. So for everybody else, Dean got Kinsey, which means he cannot use manuscripts for his flaw, and Unbeliever for his feat, which means he auto passes any morale test that a monster makes him take. Bobby got no flaw. He got a 20, so he rolled lucky. But then he got a feat called, what was it called in this book? Older than they look. I can pick a feat from another Forbidden Psalm game. Reroll if you do not own them. Well, fortunately, I own 2 others. So I'm taking experimental, which is number 20 from kill sample process. At the beginning of the scenario, you roll a d6. On a 1, you cannot be harmed by bullets. On a 2, you take half damage from melee. A 3 is +3 agility. On a 4, and this is really the one that sent me over the edge, you fall asleep and somebody else has to spend an action to wake you up. On a 5, there is no effect, and on a 6, there is 4 HP, and that was super cool. I also considered, though, from Forbidden Psalm, what we do in the shadows. A, because it's a fun pun for a show that I love, and B, because it gives you another way to potentially heal yourself a little bit in combat. But I didn't. I took experimental. Ellen got Fear of the Undead, so she's -3 to fight undead. And she also got Curse, which means she cannot be drowned. She auto-passes death saves with no injuries or anything like that. But she cannot be healed mid-scenario. And then we got Kaz, who is selenophobic, so he's -3 to all of his rolls if it's a full moon. And then he got a feat that gave him immune to infection, which he already had, so whatever. I was incorrect earlier. You get 50. You get 50 shillings. 50 bucks. So this is the merchant page. This has all of your weapons and stuff that you can buy. So I'm going to spend my money, and I'm going to let you know what I buy. Now, when you do buy something, if you buy a gun, it does come fully loaded. So you've already got at least 1 pack of ammo in there. With my 50 shillings, I've already spent 5 on a specialist. I have to spend another 6 on an oil lamp for Sam because he's afraid of the dark. And then I bought 3 flintlocks, so that was 30 shillings total. I bought a wood axe, and then got some makeshift weapons, which were free, and then bought 4 leather coats. So everybody got a leather coat except Cass, which is odd, but I can give him stuff, but I'm just going to leave him with what he started with for now. So that's going to do it. After that, we go into getting into the game. Let me double check that. Next would come if you have a character with manuscripts, which I don't, so I don't need to deal with that. But if you have manuscripts, you would need to sort that out next, unless it was something where you get them randomly at the start of the scenario. That's going to do it for creating our crew, the sexy private entity for Dread Knights. Thanks so much for tuning in, hanging out. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. And as always, I'd like to say a big, huge, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to our patrons who support us and pledge to us over on Patreon. You guys are the absolute best. If you enjoyed the content you saw here today and that's something that you would like to consider doing to help out the channel, go over there, check out the link in the description, check out the Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including access to our Discord server, talk to me, hang out with me, talk about our work, what we got going on in the hobby, some shout outs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out if that's something that you think you would be into. And regardless of whether or not you do that, I want you to know that I am incredibly grateful that you decided to stop by and spend part of your day with me today, rolling dice and pushing toy soldiers around. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.